Hi guys, welcome to the daily analysis for July 23rd. Today's Monday, so obviously first day back to the market, at least for those of us who are in the New York session. And I'd say overall we had some pretty good movement in the market. A lot of reversal signals that followed through from Friday because Friday switched it up on us a little bit. But I think we definitely saw some follow through on that today. And I'm going to show you exactly all of those examples that I mean. First though, let's jump into the news here. Tomorrow we don't have a ton of news. The biggest thing we really have is core retail for Canadian dollar at 8:30 a.m. So that's our main New York session announcement, and obviously that's red tagged. So if there's a major deviation, you can expect some serious movement for the Canadian dollar, and that's something that I wouldn't be surprised with, and something that we should definitely tune into, especially because the Canadian dollar has been one of the stronger pairs, kind of something that's making a trend lately. So, depending on the news, we could either see a continuation of that little bit of a reversal that's happening now, or we could see a revert back into the trend, which would obviously signify a good opportunity to jump back into the market for for Canadian longs, obviously, because of that strength. So that's definitely something that I'm looking at, and it'll be interesting to see if that news could perhaps catapult us into a trend continuation. And if you follow my analysis, you know that trend continuation opportunities are certainly some of my favorite opportunities to trade. So as far as CAD's concerned, I'll definitely be interested in taking something along those lines. Alright, the next thing we always do is look at our terms, and I have those up in front of you now. And these are really important because, as I always try to mention, the U.S. government is very strict about their rules concerning these type of things. So we want it to be very clear that this is for educational purposes, and we're not licensed or registered in any way. So it's good that you understand that before taking part in our analysis. All right. With that said, let's jump into the analysis. The first thing I have up here is the euro dollar, and you can see that I have these little pink circles here, and what I did was I kind of just drew out, or I circled the lower lows over the past few months. This is a daily chart, and you can see that over the past several months, actually I guess it's about over a year now, the euro dollar has made consistently lower lows, and you can see that I've circled a few here using the daily chart that we've made. And it's interesting because over the past year I haven't always considered the euro dollar a trending pair. As a matter of fact, for most of the time I would say that I was somewhat annoyed about the choppy nature of the euro dollar. I'd say, oh, the euro dollar's in a channel again, and it was somewhat annoying. And you can see what I'm talking about when you see these daily situations here and here and here and areas up here. I mean, there's a lot of places where it chopped back and forth, but it does kind of give you an idea or a reminder that in Forex, when you kind of take a step back and look at these longer time frames, more often than not, there is an overall trend that's happening. And I think a lot of times we kind of get stuck in the intraday stuff and don't realize the longer term momentum. But there certainly is a trend here. You can see that for a year, basically, the euro dollar has moved straight down. And straight down might be an exaggeration, but has moved down consistently and made a lot of lower lows. So that's something really to take note of and understand. Now, if we do zoom up, we can understand this isn't really a trend line. This is just kind of an overall line, from the high to the low. So don't consider this a trend line. It's not bouncing off trend line right now. But we do see that today's daily bar started off very bearish for the euro. It was starting to be a very strong continuation, but ended up kind of retreating back to a very small bar. So as a trader, that kind of leaves you questioning whether it was a Monday, so there just wasn't a lot of significant momentum to follow through on that daily bar, or was the news kind of shrinking it back and forth, or is it ready to continue tomorrow, or is this a reversal? That's the reason it shrunk back is because it's getting ready to pop. And so these are sometimes more the tougher bars to handle when you're trading, I think, because it really doesn't provide you with a lot of clarity, because it's not a major tail that turned into a bullish bar off of a resistance level. As a matter of fact, there's not really any resistance here. It's more just kind of a hanging tail bar that is still somewhat bearish for the day, but doesn't really obviously show continuation in the bearish direction. It's just kind of sitting there. And so for me, that's probably something that we'll need to wait for tomorrow to get some more clarification on. And if we do see that it actually is a little bit of a rounding motion, continues up, it might be a good long opportunity. Now for me, again, I'm obviously very bearish on the euro, and I'm looking for shorts all the way. Shorts are my best friends at this point. But if you get a really solid technical setup on a long, it doesn't make sense not to take it. I actually, where was I long at? I think here, is this where I was long? Before, if you remember, during my analysis, I showed you a trade that I was long on, and I was actually up pretty significantly on that. Now, I did get hit by the reversal, and I believe it got stopped out for break even, so it wasn't a great trade. But the truth is that I had an opportunity to take out some profit where I should have, especially in a counter trend situation. I know that oftentimes people will teach you to trade counter trend and trend differently, and I certainly agree with that. If you're trading a counter trend trade, I think you have to be stingier with your stop loss, really lock in more profit more quickly, because obviously the probability for it to reverse on you is greater when you're trading a counter trend than a trend. Excuse me. So you gotta have to understand that as a trader. So, for instance, if you have a trend you're trading down like this, okay. Now, obviously, in this situation, especially if these are daily charts, these little bumps in the road here actually are probably pretty decent, trade opportunities. There's probably a few hundred pips in these if you're assuming this is a daily chart. So there's definitely profit to be made here. But you have to realize that when this is the overall momentum, which obviously it would be, when you take a little bump like this, you have to be ready for the next reversal, because the trend is suggesting that it will come. So instead of putting your stop loss down here and targeting up here, you have to be stingier to get your stop loss tighter and make sure that you don't give away profit, because the overall expectation will be for it to continue back into a downtrend, and that's just how the market works. So when you're trading counter trend, be very careful and make sure that you're locking in your profit quickly and taking advantage of being up on a counter trend trade, like I did not on that euro dollar, and really was a trading mistake that I plan on not doing again. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's take a quick look at US yen, because US yen is something that we've been looking at for a while, and it's been very tricky in my opinion, because the US dollar yen was tricking us with this channel for a while. I thought that it was going to break out of here for quite some time, and it didn't. It kind of just stood in there, and then it did break out, but it was all these wimpy little bars, and that's not what you expect. Let me get some color in there so you can see this little channel. You don't expect these little bars when you're breaking out of a channel that's been held there for multiple weeks. You expect a big, strong, bullish or bearish break, an engulfing bar, and then you expect that to continue, probably with a few more solid bars. But we just had these little wimpy bars the whole way down. And so none of these were really good enough for me to say, oh, I'm going to jump into an entry there, even though technically it was moving down consistently. So that makes it a little tricky in my opinion. And you can see that today it was no exception. We had a small bar, small bar, small bar, and now we have this random tail that is kind of somewhere around this resistance level where it stopped at last time, but not really. So I don't really know what to do with the US yen, to be honest. For me, I'm just going to stay away from it. My expectation was that a breakout to the downward direction was going to test this trend line here somewhere along the line. But the way it's moving, it's just going so slow and not doing anything that I don't want to make a short entry and target this trend line, because I just don't know if there's any pips to be made there when I could be trading other pairs. So I'm just going to stay away from the US yen, to be honest with you. It just doesn't seem like there's a great trade opportunity in it for me. So I know that's pretty boring analysis, but sometimes you just got to stay away from pairs if they're not giving you good opportunities, and that's what I'm doing here. Now, the pound dollar was a pretty good opportunity Friday. I know that in Friday's analysis, I mentioned this very large daily bearish bar. And you can see that I entered that trade Friday. And I walked in. I didn't check it over the weekend. I walked into the office this morning, and I was up 93 pips, which you can see here. I closed out for 93 pips. So that was a great trade for me. And I know that one of the things that you probably hear me say a lot is that we really try to tighten our stop losses to increase these trades that we hit. So I had a 93 pip trade, and it was like 13% winner on this demo account that I took it on. So what I did was I tightened up my stop really tightly, and you can see that it didn't even lean back at all. I was never in danger of even touching my tight stop. So every like 12 or 14 pips on this was a 1%, because I had a 28 pip stop or something, risking 2%. So whatever it ended up being, it was a big trade. And you can see that it didn't take much effort to hit 93 pips on that. Now that's not going to happen often, because obviously you don't just hit 100 pip trades overnight every time there's a momentum bar in your direction. But I did think this was a really solid opportunity. Number one, I thought that we did have some downward momentum from previous days for the pound dollar. Number two, it was bouncing almost off this identical level, and we saw some follow through last time here as well. And number four, because the pound had been uncharacteristically strong for a few days heading back up, where the dollar was really weak. And I knew that obviously the dollar had a really good day on Friday because everything turned and the dollar gained a lot of strength. And I just expected the dollar to at least carry that through for another day, and that's what we saw today. Obviously Sunday night through Monday, a lot of a downward continuation, 100 pips at least. So that was a nice trade, and it's pretty nice when you walk in and it's just an instant 100 pip winning trade. You don't get that very often, so that was quite enjoyable, I have to admit. Now, as far as the pound dollar, whether it's going to continue and actually come down and touch our level down here that we've talked about, I don't really know. You can see that obviously I closed out this trade because some news and things like that were going on. I didn't want to give away profit on a trade where I was up like 15%, so I just took it. And maybe I'll regret that. Maybe it'll come down here, and it could have been a double year account trade, a once in a year trade where you could just get the massive win. I don't know. But for me, I was happy with the way it went, and I just took it. And I don't really have major expectations this is going to continue. I think that the news is going to play a large role in that, and I think there's a possibility that it might chop around here for a while, and that's really something I didn't just want to sit through. So for me, I'd stay out of the pound dollar for now, unless you're already in it and you're trying to hold a short for more profit. Then you might want to consider locking in some profit and trying to hold out for a bigger trade. But I was ready just to go ahead and take my profit, and that's what I did. Okay, the odd dollar is the last pair that I want to look at today. And the reason I want to look at the odd dollar is because the odd for me has been a great long opportunity pair. I think that the odd strength is for real. I know I've been saying that a lot, but I just think that with everything else going on in all the economies, I think the odd just has the best opportunity to show continued strength. And so for me, I've been looking for longs the whole way up. And I mentioned that I was looking at these steps before. This is what I said on Friday. I was looking at these steps. Or no, I said this on Thursday, excuse me. And I said we might, be ready for another step. So that was at the close of this bar, and it did actually reverse and come down a bit. So this could be just another upward step on the way to a higher high, which probably be in this range. So keep your eye on that. If tomorrow's bar starts heading up to the upside, for me, that's just going to be a really tempting long position, because I just think that this odd has been very consistent, showing legitimate strength, and is looking for good opportunities to remain long. And for me, I think that it's definitely going to break this level eventually. I mean, that's just my obviously personal opinion, what I'm thinking, but I think it has the capability to go ahead and break through this and continue to head up to much higher highs, and that's what I'm looking for. Of course, it doesn't help. Or it doesn't hurt my confidence that I totally called this, heading down after Friday with a total lucky call. So now I'm even more confident that I can trade the odd. But yeah, I think the odd is a great opportunity for longs if you get a good signal. That's about it for my daily analysis. Hope that was helpful to you, and I'll talk to you soon.